What are you still afraid of?
Dying.
Is that right?
Yeah. I'm not excited about getting old and not thrilled about dying. It's like I turned 65 this year and everyone's going, wow, 65 is the new 40 and I'm like, no, I'm 65. Like how many chapters are in this book?
It's a fear of mine. It's a fear of mine too. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. What's your biggest fear?
I think dying.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because anything else I've been able to overcome. You know, a lot of it in the last year, a lot of it since meeting you. I told you at lunch, you know, I've heard you speak on fear 3 different times now, and similar conversations. I took something different away each time, which is why I'm really, really excited about this. You've had more of an impact in my life than I think you know.
I don't know. This is exciting for me. I love hearing this. Yeah.
But I don't want to make it about me, but I think for anybody that's watching this, and anyone that's followed my journey, to know that, like, you know, there's a few men in my life that I've had the opportunity just to be in the same room as, and now to have you on my show, this is an honor.
Dude, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Speaking on fear, and a lot of my listeners are in recovery, which is one fear that I think a lot of people think is like getting rid of vices and things like that, what their life is going to look like without it. The other side of my audience is a lot of people that are new entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of fear that comes along with that. I want to touch on both, but sure. I want to first kind of look at the grand scope of like what you do. And you are by far known as, you know, obviously one of the greatest self-defense or the greatest self-defense instructor.
According to ChatGPT.
According to ChatGPT, but I think according to most. And the amount of experience that you have is insane. But on the topic of fear is something that you keynote. And you know, we've talked about fear management and things like that. So I want to just kind of touch on that first.
Yeah. You want me to just riff on it, or you want to? Yeah. So you said something at lunch that was really interesting, and about your niche and how you started your coaching business. And paraphrasing is like use your avatar. I don't know if you want to maybe articulate that here.
Well, yeah. So the person that you can speak to best is the person that you used to be. Yeah.
It's beautiful because there's how like, you know, talk about authenticity and that oozing from your pores, that authenticity. You know, if I see another 24-year-old with perfect skin, perfect abs, selling you their nutrition plan for longevity, and I'm like, you're fucking 24 years old. When you're 101 years old and you look like this, I'll buy your longevity plan, but like, stop now, right? And so there's so much out there. And so why should anyone listen to me about fear? Well, you know, because the last time I was really afraid was, you know, in the middle of the night when my back had a flare up and I was like, I can't move, I can't get up. And what went through my head was not only, okay, like I can't get up now, I can't protect my family. Also, I'm gonna have to call Justin and cancel the podcast, right? So I tell people that, especially for guys, whether it's osmosis, conditioning, just genetics, we don't like talking about fear. We don't want to appear vulnerable or weak in any way. And I make the joke that fear management needs new management, because when you change your relationship with fear, it doesn't take the fear away, but it changes what you can do with it in real time. The problem with fear, and what I call mismanaged fear, is it kind of erodes competence and confidence, and it eats away the only resource we can't regenerate, and that's time. So if you stay in a fear loop, right? So a stimulus gets introduced too quickly in your life. It could be health, relationship, finances, whatever. And you get that fear spike, and that fear spike starts a movie in your mind. And the movie in your mind, you're watching it. Holy shit, I suck. I'm an imposter. I'm going to fail. I'll never make it. Whatever it is, that movie that's playing in your mind, you know, you're actually the producer of it. And I love this metaphor. You're the casting director, and you've cast yourself as a victim in your own mind. And how do you stop that movie? And so I created this program that was born out of, I hated being afraid, and I was afraid of fear. And I was always a good athlete growing up. But even like to this day, I'm 65. Like I've taught all over the world, entrepreneurs, countries, tier 1 military all over the world. And I teach these people all about managing fear and the combatives element of it, the hand-to-hand stuff. And I still will walk up the stairs and visualize it. I can't stop it. It's unsolicited. I walk up the stairs. There's a bad guy there with a gun. I visualize it. I'm walking somewhere. I'm always seeing violence happening and how I'm going to respond to it. It doesn't make me, I don't feel paranoid when it happens. In fact, I laugh and I smile. I'm like, what the fuck? And it was almost like, if I look at my life, because I've had one job since I'm 17. That's not true. I started teaching when I was 17. I went into the family business when I was 20, and I left 2.5 years later. I walked into my dad's office and I said, hey, I'm going all in on the self-defense. And this was a generational family business. I was set to do something you understand,
Yep.
right? I could do that. And I was like, and I'm all over the place now, but I know you dig that.
I love it.
When I was 15 years old, I'm sitting on the floor, working on the splits, looking at Bruce Lee magazines. And I discovered Bruce Lee when I guess I was 13, 1973 when he died. That was the golden era of, he exploded on all the movies, and Enter the Dragon came out and all that stuff. And my mom says to me, I'm 15 years old, sitting on the floor, looking at these magazines I had imported from Japan. They had the best, photography of Bruce. And I'm like reading his biographies on him. And he said, a quote of his was, "To hell with circumstances, I'll make my own circumstances." And like 15 in 1975, like jump ahead, 15-year-olds now are way smarter than we were in 1975. But that line like hit me. And I remember my mom coming over and saying, hey, have you decided what you're going to study in school? Do you want to be an astronaut, a doctor, a veterinarian, a police officer? Or are you going to go into the family business? And I looked up and I said this. I said, Mom, school's not going to be a big factor for me because I'm going to be a famous martial artist like Bruce Lee. And she went like this. She leaned forward. She pat me on the head. She said, okay, sweetheart, we'll talk about this when you're a little older, right? And here I am. And it's very funny. Like she'd come visit from time to time. She passed away a few years ago. But she'd come and she'd look at my house and the family and the 3 kids and the dogs. She'd go, I'm so proud of you. I still don't know what you do, but I'm so proud of you. But I just freaking knew, man. But part of that journey, if I jump back to, I was afraid to do it, but I had to do it. I was afraid my mindset was, if when I was up at bat, I was thinking about striking out. If I was playing football, I was thinking about getting tackled or missing a catch. I was really high level skier. If you grow up in Canada, you're a skier or a skater. My family was a famous ski family. They were like, I think my dad was VP of the National Ski Patrol. So we were a very famous skiing family. And I was skiing when I was like 3 years old, obviously not moguling down the hill, but,
Pizza, French fries.
Yeah. And when I started competing, all I was thinking about was letting down my family, letting down the team. And I explained years later that you can never hit a pure flow state when you're carrying the weight of fear. And you can't hit the flow state because it's like if we go like mountain biking. If you're either looking at the openings or you're looking at the obstacles, you'll still get down the hill. But if your focus is on the negative all the time, there's a good chance that you're going to, clip something or wipe out or have such a stressful experience you don't want to do it again. And so I was talking about the metaphor is how much does fear weigh? When you got good news about anything, an investment, a blood test, you got into school, what did you do? The first thing everyone does when they get good news is they stand up. There's this elation, like you get lighter. But when you're full of fear, it's heavy. So there's a lot of, kind of nuance there. But my whole life has been riddled with fear. And then when I started teaching self-defense, literally in 1977, which is, how old are you now?
I'm 38.
So I've been teaching like 4 or 5 years longer than you've been alive. Not just training, teaching. So,
Right.
which is wild to me. Then I realized that because I have a very particular approach to self-defense, it's not based on a martial art. It's based on behavior and neurobiology and kinesiology, psychology. So regardless of gender, regardless of background, there's something in it that can make you safer. Hence, and I like to say this, I say it to you not as bragging, but I'm the only guy in the self-defense space that has worked with tier 1 government agencies all the way down to, soccer moms or women's shelters and stuff like that, and everyone in between, where like you go, well, how do you do that? Like, that's such a broad audience. It's because I'm teaching about the human weapon system. I'm teaching self-defense from the central nervous system out. But what was always missing in all of the protocols was this, where, and it occurred to me one day, it's one of my favorite lines now. It's out of our No Fear program. And I realize now I should have worn my No Fear shirt because it's spelled K-N-O-W, which is kind of a cool way to think about it. Get to know fear. And, but it was this line from the program is, you can't be brave if you're not afraid. The primary ingredient of courage is always fear.
Right.
If I ask you to do something and you're not afraid to do it, then I say to you, man, it's so courageous that you do it. What are you talking about? There's no...
Do you feel like there's no growth there too?
Say again?
Do you feel like there's no growth there as well? If it's just something that's not...
No. I mean, like some people are just unicorns. They just do things, right? Right. So, and I'll riff on the unicorn thing because I think your audience will dig it. Because a lot of people, we invest money and time idolizing, mirroring, patterning, whether it's an Anthony Robbins approach, like, if, hey, he did this, if you do what he did, you'll experience that success too. That's only partially true, because some of the most miserable people in the world are the wealthiest people in the world who have everybody,
right?
Have everything. So it's not, and again, it's how do you measure it? But I look at it like this: if you look at an athlete, a musician, an artist, or a business person, and you have no idea why they're so successful, they're a unicorn and you're not. So the fact that you don't know what they do, because the unicorn doesn't go, how am I so unicorny? Right. They're just galloping around there, and great things happen. And this occurred to me a couple of years ago, because I go, how does this guy do that? And it just occurred to me that the fact that, and most of those people would have no idea how they do it. So we can be inspired by unicorns. I want to have that lifestyle or that look or that feel or that freedom or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's fucking hard work, and the work starts with yourself.
100%. I think a lot of the unicorns, I always joke about this, but it's also true that the best salespeople, the guys that are the best with women, are the dummies.
Explain more.
Too dumb to overthink, too dumb to analyze, too dumb to get fearful. Just do.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've trained so many salespeople throughout my life, and it's always the smart guys that are the worst.
So overthink it to death.
Yep. The smart guys get the ugly girl. The smart, I'm
smart. My wife's pretty hot. How did that happen?
Well,
and then just every so often,
you're the unicorn,
right? far from that.
Remember earlier I texted you and I was like,
oh yeah.
I'm like,
don't bring the ice packs.
Yeah. Don't bring the ice packs to the restaurant. And there's sometimes that I catch myself and I'm like, why did I even text that? And I'm like, well, that's actually kind of why I'm good at what I do. Right.
You say things, and somebody might have brought that. I wasn't going to, but
I just think I think a lot of, we call it in the recovery world, stinking thinking.
Okay.
And or stinking thinking, right? And I think a lot of us, we get so caught up in analysis paralysis. Yeah. And that's the fear spike.
But that's all fear.
Right.
Overthinking is fear. I don't want to make the wrong decision. I could say to you, so the way I define fear is any stimulus comes into you, your optic nerve, your hearing, you hear something, you see something, you immediately start to think, an image starts to form. like when I was at Jay's event where I go, you hear a rattle, it's not a tiny tambourine band, that's a fucking rattlesnake. So as soon as you hear it, you don't even see it, but your mind sees, and it starts the movie starts. The overthinking is always fear of making the wrong decision. And so what's neat when I get to work with people, I go, oh, are you OCD? Are you perfectionist? Do you get angry quickly? Do you like all of that? Like when you unpack that metaphysical onion, it's fear. It's and it's so easy and it's hard. Why I'm so good at teaching it is because in the same way of, the Avatar story, like you were so good when you had that niche brand, I'm going to go after this exact person because I was that person and I know how to defeat that and recreate as this. I tell people like I manage my fear every day. I have had so many origin stories. How did this happen? How did this happen? And it's all about managing fear. But it was so innocent. I didn't realize I was doing it, not altruistically, but I was like for my students, when I was creating all the scenario-based self-defense, I could see their hesitation, trepidation. I could see the fear because we were doing pretty crazy scenarios. It wasn't sparring. It was like replications of real events. And you could see the fear and the hesitation, and I realized that I needed to create something to elevate their performance. And I wrote this. So I mostly train trainers now in the self-defense world, and we had a concept in there. We say if your student knows you let them win, they lose. Mm-hmm. The student has to believe like they're acquiring these skills. Otherwise, a favorite term, right? They develop codependence on you. I had a female student came to a weekend seminar we were doing, and some people like, if I said that I can make you safer in one day, we have a course called Be Your Own Bodyguard. If you asked any jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, Taekwondo, boxer, can you learn self-defense in a day? They would say, like, who's selling you this shit? That's snake oil. That's bullshit. Because in their mind, they're confusing learning a martial art, which is a lifetime of pursuit, with, learning self-defense. I can go to the driving range and hit a golf ball. That could be good or bad, but I'm not a golfer, right? So they're confusing the driving range with playing in the Masters, but I can teach people to defend themselves in a day, because what you need to do is teach people to manage their fear. If you don't manage the fear, you can't manage the fight. It doesn't guarantee victory, but you have no chance if you doubt yourself, right? So we had this course back in the 80s. This woman, Shannon, attended. And I know I'm off on a tangent, but I'm going to circle back here. And I come into this restaurant. She was a waitress at this restaurant I used to frequent. And one of the waiters, and what had happened is the store next door had been held up at gunpoint. And I knew the owners because I'd been eating there for years. And he knew what I did. And he said, look, man, I got to, get these. They were all university students. They don't want to work. They don't work late. Can you teach them stuff? And I said, absolutely. So we set up 2 shifts, and I trained the whole staff. And Shannon was in one of the classes, and I come in like a month later. This guy, Alistair, comes running up to me, leans over my table and whispers, did you hear what happened to Shannon? As a self-defense instructor, and you're a coach, you become friends with lots of, the people that you start off as coaches, and you've developed a relationship with. Imagine someone comes up and goes, did you hear what happened to Jim? Right? And you're like, my heart stops, because the only way I knew Shannon more intimately was because I trained her to manage fear and defend herself. And I look at Al, and he's leaning over the table, and he goes, she was stabbed and raped. And then he pauses, and I'm looking at him, my heart hasn't stopped, I'm not breathing. And he's like this close to me at a table. I'm like, I'm sitting on the table, and he's leaned over, and he goes, but she fought back and she got away. And I reach up and I grab his neck and I yank his head really close to me. And I go, asshole, say that part first next time, right? Shannon's okay, right? And I always make fun of this when I tell the story because, I got 3 kids. And anytime one of them was at the nurse at the hospital, at the school, be, hi, Mr. Blauer, I have your son here. Yes. Yes, is Mr. Blauer, right? Nicholas is, yes. Well, Nicholas fell down and he's okay. Can you just say, Nicholas is okay? Can you come get him? What? So people say that shit backwards. Anyways, turns out Shannon's walking home drunk from a party. Guy starts to follow her, says something to her. She stops, goes, I don't understand. He's talking gibberish. He pulls out a knife, slashes her. She's like this. He points the knife and he says in perfect English, if you cooperate with me, I won't hurt you. And he grabs her elbow, leads her into an alleyway and starts to rape her. In my class, I tell people that 99% of the time, a weapon is used as a tool of intimidation. If it's used in advance of the attack, that's horrible. Someone comes in and pistol whips you and says, move over here. That's horrible. Someone slashes you. That's horrible. And so she's lying there and on the ground, crying, freaking out. And the guy's on top of her, raping her. And she opens her eyes a little bit to see where he is. She says to me, and so I came into the restaurant and when I heard the story, I came back trying to find when her shift was. And she happened to be there with her mom, who lived in Ottawa, about an hour and a half away. And they come over, she calls me over, and she says, Mom, this is the man that saved my life. And I say, Shannon, I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, no, but I heard your voice in my head. And I did what you said. I said, I still wasn't there. You did this all by yourself. And she comes, we move off to the side, and she's crying, and she's holding my hand. She said, I heard you. The guy was going to kill me. I knew he was going to kill me. And she said, I'm lying there. I said, I knew he was going to kill me. And then I heard you say, if a weapon's used in advance of the attack, you need to fight. And she said, I opened my eyes, and as I opened my eyes, he closed his eyes. He was like missionary on his hands, like push-up position. And she said, I grabbed the knife hand that was here and I yanked it out to the side. He fell forward. And I teach this move when we call it clear control counter. Clear yourself from the armed limb, control the armed limb, and then counter. And so, because the reaction, if I grab your knife or your gun, is I want that back. So for a moment, my neck and eyes are exposed because I'm like, give me that back, right?
Right.
So I'm attacking behavior. I'm not remembering move 2, 3, it's behavior, clear control counter. Drives away. He falls forward because of the push-up position. She comes up, jams a thumb in his eye. His head goes back. She rakes his face. His head comes forward, and she rips a vertical elbow. And it's a movement that I teach, and there's no real intelligent counter to it because it's so close, right? It's so close. She hits him with all 3. He lurches back, drops the knife because he's got a thumb in his eyes twice. She slides out, boots him in the balls like he's on his knees. He doubles over. She stands up, kicks him in the face, and then kicks him again. So she's fired 6 shots, hit him 6 times. She runs, freaking out, bleeding, calls the cops. They come, see her. We find out we got a serial rapist in Montreal. He's killed 1 woman. Another was on life support. His MO after the rape was to stab. And she tells me the story. I'm like, holy shit. And she goes, you saved my life. And I looked at her and I said, Shannon, once again, I wasn't there. I didn't tell you to come to the seminar. I didn't tell you to do anything. This is all on you. And I left there and I went in my car. I started crying and fucking like yelping, like screaming, like holy shit. And but what I had to, and I don't know how I got into this rabbit hole here, but it was this idea that as coaches, we need the student to be their own coach. They can't be codependent. They can't believe that I need to talk to Justin or Tony or I can't as quickly as we can. But all of this, like none of that happens if we're not teaching people how to manage fear, because that analysis paralysis, tying in all this together, the overthinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? This guy said he won't hurt me if I cooperate. Every bad guy with a knife or gun says that lie.
Right.
Anyways, I apologize for the rant.
No, that's insane. And the thing is too, is like keeping it so simple too, right? Like, the lesson that she learned did save her life, right?
Yeah.
And, as coaches, I think too, and as people that are, as we're teaching, being able to give people that very clear, concise direction was easy for her to remember, and it did save her life.
You know, it's crazy. I just remember this now, and I've only told this story a couple of times, but I only want to remember it. During the training, we did some ground fighting where I'm on top of her, and she's just so she's like 50 pounds overweight, not an athlete. She's not like, just like a person off the street who came in, no martial art training. I'm on top of her, and we're simulating rape positions. It's a scenario-based self-defense program. And she freaks out. We got these helmets on, these masks on, so we can actually get some contact. And so I'm on top of her, and she freaks out, and you could tell that she had stopped breathing. She's panicking. And I'm stopping, and I could have just said, get up, take a breath, take the helmet off, get some air, come back in. But I knew she's practicing quitting.
Oh.
Okay. Subtle, right? So I'm on top of her, and I look at her, and she's not breathing, Justin. She's like, and I can see her mask is fogging up. And I grab her arms, and I've got her pinned like this. And I said, look at me. Look at me. And she looks up at me. I said, take a deep breath. Do not pass out. When I rape you, I want you conscious. And she looks at me, and I said, take a deep breath. Again, do not pass out. And she's breathing. And I said, at a time like this, don't you wish you had taken a self-defense course? And she's right in the middle of a self-defense course, right? And it brought her back to where she was. And she fucking does the move she's supposed to do and bridges me, gets me off, and comes at me to the point where like I'm flinching, going, okay, that was great, Shannon, great rep. Like she's ready to kill me, just release this inner demon. But was wild, and this became part of the program, is this idea, I don't know if you ever heard this term in role playing of staying in role.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I have a choice now between letting her tap out and saying, okay, someone else will go, good rep, good try. But if we come back to what I said 15 minutes ago, if the student thinks you let them win, they lose. And this works the same way as I let her quit. And I found a way to stay in role, but get her to actually experience managing fear and doing what she would need to do. God forbid this is real. Control your breathing. Don't pass out. And now what do you need to do? What primal gross motor movement, do you need to do? So the program, like what's evolved as the preeminent behaviorally based self-defense system in the world, was inspired by trying to intuit and create these fixes that didn't exist in conventional. You were a martial artist. Like what I'm talking about didn't exist in, the classes. You're in a line doing, your
right.
bunch like that.
Universals and katas. And
you're not talking about neuroscience and fear loops and self-talk, and it's been pretty wild.
Man, first of all, that's an incredible story.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But to think that she'd be fighting for her life, a couple months later. And it's wild. And I've got, wild stories of dealing. I can't mention the units and organization, but tier 1 counter-terrorist groups that, come back from deployment and go, I did what you said, did like that. Was crazy. It's wild. And it's, we were talking about me wrestling with gratitude, at lunch, and, to think about, this whole journey in the last 40 years. This is wild. I'm in Perth working with a military group, and I get picked up outside the gate, taxi driver, and he says, and I can't do an Australian accent, "G'day, mate," right? And he says, and this is like a special entrance of this, like everyone local knows who trains there. And he goes, he hears my accent, English, American, and he goes, here on business, mate, and I go, well, and I know he knows where I am. I go, well, if I have to tell you, I got to kill you, but you're driving, which means I'll die too, because the car will. And he laughs, right? He goes, but seriously, like what do you do without telling me what you do? I said, I teach self-defense and combatives. He says, how long have you been doing that? And this is, let's say 6-7 years ago. So I said, I don't know, like almost 40 years. He says, almost 40 years. He said, you haven't had another job? I said, no. He says, do you know how insane that is? That you haven't had like the job, you know? And it hadn't occurred to me, but it was this wise taxi driver that made me think like, holy shit, I, you know, discovered a passion that's really an obsession. Like I'm obsessed with your safety, even though we don't physically train together yet, maybe, but yeah. You know, and I say that to a lot of people. It's you'd probably, if you're a business mentor of mine, you'd probably say, don't say that anymore. I say to people like, you know, why do I care more about your safety than you do? What the fuck, right? And because people think it'll never happen to them,
right?
You know, and when it happens, violence loves speed. So totally. Like you don't have time to dial 911 when shit's happening.
I love that though. I said all the time, I care about more. Sometimes I care more about your success than you do. And
right.
But that's what makes us great coaches. Kind of going back to what you were saying, you know, having the same job and everything. I mean, you discovered manifestation with Bruce Lee, you know, like you literally decided to write your own story.
It's crazy because it's I don't mean to interrupt, but it is. I don't think about that. This is helping me with gratitude.
Well, but earlier our conversation on that was like, you know, it's funny because I think people try to like force gratitude and have their gratitude list, and I spend 10 minutes a day manifesting and meditating on my gratitude and all of that. I was like, if it's forced, then is it really even gratitude? Where it's like, okay, if we can wake up in the morning and say like, look what I've done. Look at the results of the work that I've put in. Look at the manifestation that I've truly done. You know, and for someone like you to have been able to do something for so long that you're so passionate about, that you care so much about, that literally changes lives, saves lives, for goodness sakes. You know, that's real gratitude.
It's crazy. And I don't stop and smell the roses or coffee or whatever the expression is as often as I should. You just made me think of a Salvador Dali quote that I saw. I read a couple of years ago. I ended up writing an article for my Substack feed on it. And I think it's called Accidental Mentors is the name of the article. And it's a picture of Salvador Dali, and he's in a lake, you know, someone took a picture of him. And the quote is something to the effect of, what will this Salvador Dali do today? And I remember reading it going, who the fuck talks about themselves in the third person? Right? Like, you know, you get up in the, you know, brushing your teeth. What will Justin do today? What will this Tony Blauer do today? And the more I thought about it, it went from what a fucking weirdo, right? To this is genius.
Yeah.
Because everything we do are choices. You know, and imagine if you could stop in a third person and go, are you really going to do that? You're going to call this person back. You're going to not fire this person. You're going to not hire this person. You're going to put that in your body and not this in your, like it's, you know, it's like that third person is that kind of like coach / you know, bullshit filter.
You know, it's funny that you say that though, because anytime I've ever heard people talk in third person, I'm like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? And then I started my thing in the morning. This was a while back. This is well over a year ago, where I started, repeating in my head, the minute I wake up, do it now, I do it now. And I kept repeating that. And then I would add I, because that would personify the whole entire mantra, right? Like I'm the guy who does it right now, you know? And in the mornings I start to think about, and you saying it like that just made me think like, which Justin am I going to be like? And I need to personify that guy who doesn't procrastinate, who lives up to like what my list is for the day or whatever I need to accomplish, and I need to do it right now. And I have to tell myself that. There's days that I'll tell myself that like 100 times more.
Dude, I'm going to throw another one of my favorite. I use this every week on my coaching calls. Richard Feynman, you know the name? Okay. So I think it's my most used quote. He says, the first principle is to never fool yourself, comma, and remember you're the easiest person to fool. And it's like, okay, I need another watch. Here's why. I need another gun. Here's why. I need another car. Here's why. I'm not going to go to the gym. Here's why. I'm not calling this person back. Here's why. And it's you've seen rational lie spelled as a rational lie, rational hyphen lie.
Yeah.
You've seen that before. So that's what I'm saying. It's the rational lie we tell ourselves so we don't have to do what we promised ourselves we're going to do.
I like that.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I like that. How many people do you see that, this is off topic, but it made me think when we were talking about, like, you know, practicing any of the techniques, any of the self-defense, like, it's got to be common, because I've seen it happen, like in a street fight and stuff, where people just go straight possum, like straight freeze.
Oh, yeah. So there is I just actually dissected a video online. We take a lot of real videos. I've got twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I teach online to people all over the world. And excuse me, I had a video of a Krav Maga instructor demoing how action's faster than reaction. And he had a trained guy in his seminar, and he said, okay, I'm going to hit you with the bottle. It was an empty bottle like this, completely empty. So he knew there was no risk, no danger, no glass. He said, you're going to block it. You're going to punch, classic counter that they practice. And he said, you can get ready to go. Like, get ready to load it. I'll count to 3 and then I'll do it. And I'm watching, and I know the whole joke. I mean, action's faster than reaction, and the optic nerve has to see the attack, and it's got to send the message back. So I see him, you know, setting up the move. I know exactly what he's doing. I'm like, ugh, because it's just parlor tricks to get the audience to go, whatever. And I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but I don't even know his name. But, you know, it went viral. And he smashes the guy in the head, and the guy flinches. He tries to do the move, but the neural biology of the startle response overrides the neural pattern of the move he practiced. So a lot of people use the term muscle memory. Muscle memory does not exist in the way we want it to. So there's motor engrams, there's neural patterns, but there's no, if I cut your arm off and I put a gun in your hand, you're not going to shoot me. There's no muscle memory, like just the muscles do that. And I get what people mean, but I want to be specific to explain that if your executive function is hijacked by fear, you don't access your cognitive brain, which is where you store your complex motor skills. And that's what makes our system so different, is that we can break it. So people who are smart go, holy shit. And then the big thing about our system, the SPEAR system, which stands for Spontaneous Protection Enabling Accelerated Response, it's weaponizing fear, weaponizing the startle response. Because as good as I am, if I go, that's a good point, Justin, I lean over, and as I lean over, you fucking kick me in the face and jump on top of me, I'm not doing wax on, wax off. My nervous system is going, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
So you asked me, like, you know, what percentage of people just fucking freeze? A lot of it, trained and untrained, flinch exactly the same way. And I tell that story with the demo that I just dissected here, where I said to my group, I said, here's a guy who's loaded a pattern. They did 3 reps of the move you want him to do. And then he had his hands here like this, getting ready to go. No bad guy's going to come up to you and go, okay, I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to attack you. Get ready to, like,
Right.
So, and I say, if you can't do the move you're practicing when you know it's plastic and I'm telling you I'm going to do it, why the fuck would you think you're going to do it spontaneously in a surprise attack?
Right.
This is what blows my mind about the way cops are trained, the way military is trained. And a lot of these guys could kick my ass in a mono fight. It's not about like the technique or the endurance or the, you know, it's understanding. And I wrote this in 1993 after the first UFC. I was in Denver writing for 3 magazines, one in Australia, UK, and America. And I said, although the guys are really fighting, this is not the same as a real fight.
Right.
And I got so much shit and hate, and there's people that hate me to this day, big organizations, because they went, who the fuck's this guy Blauer? Like, I go, and I, you know, it's always selective listeners, right? These were the people that were the Karens before the word Karen was invented, right? And they were way ahead of their time. But it was like, dude, the full fucking paragraph is, although they're really fighting, it's not the same as a real fight. There's awareness, consent, and preparation. You go to a rules meeting, you go to a weigh-in, you've got tape on who you're fighting. None of that is like a real fight. And I said, the only people that I know who really fight are military and law enforcement. because they're called to a location. They don't know who the bad guy or the good guy is at the moment,
Right.
and things erupt like a jack in the box.
Right. It's spontaneous.
Yeah. So lots of people freeze. To answer your question, that was a 90-minute answer.
No, but it's good.
Yeah, but it's convergent variables. It's like from deer in the headlights to the guy in the demo trying to do a move, but that's why I said I developed a system from the central nervous system out. If you don't understand how to weaponize your flinch, like how many times do you think you flinched in your life?
Oh, yeah.
No clue. Right? You look down, there's a spider, and you go, ugh.
Yeah.
You look down, there's a snake, and you're opening the door as somebody's about to ring your doorbell, and you both go, ah, right? These are all flinches. But here's my favorite thing when I talk about the magic of the flinch. Think about any time you flinched. Have you ever said to yourself, faster than the flinch, you need to flinch right now, this is happening really fast?
Right.
No, you don't say shit.
No,
So it just happens. So if we're out like near a golf course and someone goes, look out, like we do this with the right. So your body knows to cover its head and push away danger without any training. That's what I figured out in the 80s, and then reverse engineer the system. It's like a classical conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning, because while all fights are dangerous, you go, I don't like you, Blauer. I want to fight you after the podcast. And I go, man, I don't want to fight. And you go, no, we're fighting. And I go, well, how much longer is the podcast? So 30 minutes, and then we're fighting. This is like a fight, right? In 30 minutes, we're fighting. Well, what weight class are you? This is not fair, man. I'm 195, you're 220. But we're fighting. Awareness, consent, preparation. And then we square off or we fight. And it can be chaotic or it can be clean, but we know there's a fight happening. So one of the expressions in our system, all fights are dangerous, but the most dangerous fight is an ambush, because the ambush starts in the central nervous system. I got a bad feeling about this. Fuck. And then violence loves speed. And the only thing that's faster than the movement of your attacker is your startle response. And it's amazing. So we figured out how to weaponize that. And some people still go, why are you teaching people how to flinch? Motherfucker, I'm not teaching people how to flinch. You already know how to flinch. I'm teaching you how to convert the flinch into a practical, tactical countermeasure. Crazy, right?
It's nuts. But I can think of times that I was thrown off guard and that I've done the natural flinch, but was able to come down with my weight and know.
Well. So when you flinch, it's like a biological airbag. If I went, fuck you, man, and I threw this at you, your hands would come up. So it's like an airbag in a car deploying.
Right.
And so we teach it at that. It's a metaphor. This is your biological airbag. That if you can deflect that shot or absorb it and get in there, now you're a big guy, tall guy, you can grab somebody and throw him or push him away and fucking hammer him. So we say respectfully to all martial artists listening to this or going, what is he saying? Like, if people, they don't like when I say this. I go, your martial arts style is like your 67 Mustang. And your strategy and tactics are like your nav system. What's missing in the car is a fucking airbag. And the sucker punch in the street is the car accident. So when somebody hits you, you're sitting there driving, you're texting, and a car hits you, it doesn't matter how good a driver you are there. It doesn't matter what your situational awareness was or wasn't. It almost doesn't matter what car you're in, depending on the speed and power of the impact. I'd rather be in a Ford Raptor or a Hummer than a Prius in an accident. Right. But metaphorically, I need that airbag to deploy and create space between my head and impact, because if I'm knocked out or killed, I can't fight. Mm-hmm. So it's a really one. So all of those examples where you did flinch or push away danger, we say the spear system, AKA the biological airbag, if you know how to use it, becomes a bridge to your next move, whether it's wrestling or boxing or martial arts or running.
Yeah, and I would tell you that any time that it's been a fight instigated on me or something that was an ambush, it's almost always a sucker punch.
Yeah.
More often than not, bar fights, things like that come off at first as a sucker punch. And those are situations that occur way more often than a staged match. Yep. So I think it is much more valuable.
It's funny at the staged match. I remember Greg Glassman's a good friend of mine, the founder of CrossFit. And I remember him talking at one of my camps one year. And he said, jokingly, he goes, a lot of people don't want to learn self-defense. He says, I don't understand why. And he said this to me numerous times. why isn't your system as big as Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu? There are more people that would want to learn how to defend themselves than get a black belt. And he looks at the group. He says, I know at the time, Chuck Liddell was the champ. And he goes, I know for a fact, I will not ever find myself in the octagon fighting Chuck Liddell.
Right.
But I have no clue if at the ATM, the bank, the restaurant, the bar, the parking lot, no idea if something going to kick off just like that. And so, this idea of just learning about situational awareness, how to manage fear, how to de-escalate, some simple self-defense. I mean, like every single person, to me, should know that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think too, as men, being situationally aware, how many people I see. It's funny actually. My ex used to always say when we go down to Mexico, she's like, "You're gonna wear your watches?" I'm like, yeah. She's like, "That's crazy." I'm like, "Why?" And it's funny because I'm like, first of all, wolves prey on sheep. Wolves don't prey on other wolves. But two, you don't realize as a man, my head's on a swivel at all times. I'm constantly looking for potential threats, looking for opportunities. Mm. Not in terms of a fight, but in terms of a connection or somebody that I might know. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say, for all your entrepreneurs and everything else, that, and this is, you're going to dig this, man. Let's circle back to fear. I tell people that situational awareness is a conscious cognitive skill. You got to know what you're looking for and what it means to you. But the decision to act on it, to pick up the phone, to make a call, to go shake someone's hand, to do some research, is tempered by your relationship with fear. Because if unconsciously you don't think you're worthy or have the skills or and so in terms of from self-defense to business, you'll see the opportunity. Your brain sees it; it's out there. But if your lack of fear management skills goes, I'll think about this, or intuitively, that's not right, or that is right, you lose that opportunity.
100%.
And so, stock market, real estate. Yeah. Hey, let me think about I've done this. I love telling this story that in high school, the hottest girl in high school was this girl named Lucy, and everyone wanted to take her to the prom. So it's, prom's coming up, and she was like, you couldn't look her in the face because you would die. Like, she was so gorgeous, right? It's like, "Hi, Lucy, how are you?" Right? And I knew her in the class like that, mutual friends. So I go, "I'm going to ask Lucy to the prom." And my heart's pounding and I'm nervous. And I go, we were in a couple classes together. I go, "Hey, Lucy," excuse me. "Hey, Lucy." "Yeah, what's up, Tony?" Fuck. Don't look at her. Fuck. "Are you going to be in history class later?" "Yeah." "Okay, see you there." Fuck. Walk up. Right? Like, you fucking asshole, man. Right? So I'm like 16 and hadn't developed the fear management system yet. Living with fear. 24 hours later, I go, "Okay, you're going to do it." I walk up to her, I go, "Hey, so yesterday I meant to ask you, would you go to the prom with me?" And she goes, "Oh my God, I'd love to, but Ricky asked me yesterday." And I'm like, fuck. Right? And it's just like a silly example of business loves speed, violence loves speed, dating loves speed. And comes back to what you said is, the simple person, like, she's not going to say yes or no. I'm just going to ask her, right? But I overthink it, and people overthink it. And then you come back and you go, "Yeah, okay, I'm going to buy the house. Hey, man, sorry, someone made an offer yesterday." Right. "Okay, I'm going to invest." "Oh, too bad, man. We closed, we'll go deals later." Whatever. It's just all, it's wild.
Yeah, for me too. And I always talk about feelings too. And I know for myself, for example, people will say that I mentor and stuff like that. Like, "Yeah, it's not really fair because you know how to work a room. Like, no one knows how to work a room better than you." And that's true. I work a room. You've been in rooms with me, right? Like, I love working rooms. But I can tell you that that's so circumstantial. Like, there's days where it's like nothing's going according to plan. I've dealt with some bullshit. Things have happened, and it's like, I don't even want to be in that room because I know that my energy is going to be fucking off. And I know that all of those occurrences, or maybe even one occurrence or 10 occurrences, it doesn't fucking matter. But it's going to instill what I now understand from you is fear, even though it might be overwhelm, even though it might be analysis paralysis, even though it might be all the other things, it is fear. And then all of a sudden it's compounded so much to where my energy, that same reaction that we're talking about in terms of like spontaneous violence, all the way to looking for opportunity for connection, opportunity for business and things like that. So it goes back to me where it's like, fuck your feelings. Like I have to constantly stay so consistent now, so that way I can keep my head on a swivel, so I can consistently be. And I found that living that life of like straight discipline and staying extremely focused has allowed me to have less room for error. But to me, error now means fear.
Yeah. And so what'll happen is, let me ask you this. If you've got like 10 fires you put out in the morning and then you got to go work a room, will you cancel or you'll go do the room and still own it?
So it's funny because, Jay and I have talked about this quite a bit. And, he's always like, I won't show if I'm not going to bring it out of 10. And I'll still show. But I know I left money on the table. I know.
So what'll happen, and it'll happen very, very quickly. But it's really as simple as the whole no fear program, and it's just turning the fear into fuel.
So for somebody that's saying that, okay, because that happens very often in entrepreneurship and in business, right? Where it's like fire after fire after fire, and fuck, I got to be ready for this event. Where do we begin?
You've got to. Do you shoot? Have you shoot guns? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You know what a stovepipe is?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm hoping a bunch of people, metaphorically. So you can have a gun. Are you good at clearing stovepipes?
No. Well,
okay.
I mean, yeah, I suppose,
Okay.
it doesn't, I don't know that's happened enough for me to be like the man at it.
So here's a metaphor. So for everyone, a stovepipe is a malfunction, and the gun is inoperable. You got to clear the stovepipe that's sticking out of the slide. So I train a lot of military and law enforcement, and they're very good at clearing malfunctions because they train way more than we do with guns.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. So I ask, how many of you are good at clearing malfunctions? Every hand goes up. I go, some of you are actually better at clearing malfunctions than you are at shooting. And everyone laughs. And I go, if you're better at clearing a malfunction than you are at shooting, is there ever a time in a gunfight you hope for a malfunction so that you could show people how good you are at clearing? And they fucking go, of course not. Because the malfunction means I need this now. Like you're starting your presentation and the computer fucking dies. Like you're fuck. Right? You're like, right? So now we got that out of the way. I say to them, you could be ready in the fight, fucking great grip on the gun, you're ready to go, and the malfunction goes, and there's hesitation. And you got to go, fuck, a malfunction, and then you got to clear it. I liken fear as a stovepipe. You can be ready to go, and then you get a fear spike, and it's a piece. You got to clear the fear before you can re-engage. So what I would want to teach you and coach you through is just a simple way to specifically identify what the fear is right now. And this comes back to the line I said 45 minutes ago. You can't be brave if you're not afraid. The primary ingredient of courage, if this is a bottle of courage, the only thing in here is fear, nothing else. So when you know what the fear is, like even if it's, I'm not going to, like Jay said, if I'm not going to bring a 10, I'm not going to show up. And if he were here, I would, get in his face and go, yeah, you're showing up. And guess what ends up happening? When you give yourself permission to show up, it becomes an 11 or it becomes a 10 or
right.
It's a 9. I've done stuff where I know I'm off and everyone goes, that was the best talk I ever heard. That changed my life. And I want to say to them, because I'm still that 7-year-old kid that is in the fear loop, when you draw a picture and you go, this isn't good, is it? And you want the teacher to go, oh, that's great. Or your parents, they, pat you on the head. Like, I want to say, no, I screwed up this and I forgot this story and I didn't do that. And while you were talking to me, I couldn't wait to go to the bathroom and I couldn't believe how long it was taking you to ask me the question. But I was going, yeah, sure. But you don't say that, right? This is all the stuff you're thinking. The controlling that self-talk and reminding yourself why you're there. and that you're, and I hate the term because it's so overused. I'm here to serve. How can I help you? What can I do? But that's what it is. When I've gotten pretty famous in my community, and so I'll have people recognize me and ask me for an autograph or picture. And I'm sure that's happened to you and with some of the lives that you've changed. I always, and I don't do this for any reason, but I started doing this when that level of fame slowly started to happen, where I would thank people before. They go, can I take a picture? Yeah, thank you so much. You go, what do you mean? Like, I want to thank you. No, thank you. And I would say, there's a Latin expression that I think you'll dig. It goes, qui docet decet. Those who teach learn. So every time you have a chance to work the room, you're teaching them about leadership, about coaching, about mentoring, right? And that's part of what you're doing. So I remind myself, I start off every class, thank you for the honor and the privilege of teaching you. If you weren't here, one person or 100 people, if you weren't here, I might be doing this on Netflix going, there's nothing on, I don't fucking believe this. Doom scrolling on Instagram, right? But I'm fucking teaching, and I'm becoming more dangerous, or I'm becoming sharper. I'm clearing fear. And I've literally called my wife before talks. I remember this one talk I was doing, Airline Pilots Association, when air rage was a big thing. This is before 9/11. And I'd done something for these 50 pilots representing each state. And then they asked me, it was a day and a half seminar, they asked me if I would stay and talk to the General Assembly, which was tomorrow. I said, yeah, sure. Didn't even say anything about it. I find out it's like 500 people, live news there, earpiece. And they said, can you, and my normal talks are half day, full day, 5-day courses. They said, can you do something for 30 minutes? And I'm like, 30 minutes? Okay. I'd already said yes. And then 15 minutes before I'm going to go on, they go, hey, the guy went long, you got 20. I'm like, 20? And then I look at the curtains, and there's like 400 or 500 people there, and NBC and ABC, and it's live. And I call my wife, Jess, and I go, I am freaking out. I want to throw up right now. And the worst of us all is I forgot everything I know. She goes, what are you talking about? And she goes, I said, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. She says, just get up there and start talking. And I got up there and I call her after. I go, this is the best talk I ever had. No one recorded it. Damn it. But it's what we talked about at lunch is just like, you can't cross a chasm in 2 jumps, right? You got to fucking go for it. Yep. So when you realize it's a choiceless choice, you got to go for it. But what's going to this? Now we come back to my favorite quote, the Feynman quote. When I go, you know what? I'm not going to go. I'm not a 10. This will haunt Jay forever, but I'm not going to go, as opposed to these people expect me to show up. But you know what? My 7 is everyone else's 11. So fuck that shit. And I'm going to go. And I've also done this. I had a neck injury happen 7 years ago that impacted the trigeminal nerve and affects the nerves in my eye and my face. And it happened like 2 weeks before my summer camp, where my face was like, I couldn't talk without pinning the muscle here, couldn't articulate anything. And I shouldn't have shown up. And I showed up and I cried in front of everybody. And I was embarrassed and I was angry and I did seminars like this, and my team was there supportive, and it's like we had 100 fucking people to learn combatives, and here's this guy going because the muscles just didn't work. And but it was like I was so scared to go do that, but I was like, and that's why I regret not wearing the No Fear shirt. Maybe we'll show it after, because it was realizing I'm really getting to know fear. This is like a new way outside my comfort zone. This is the holy shit zone, and that makes you resilient. And we need to remind ourselves of that all the time, that life's a fucking roller coaster ride, right? Have you ever gotten up in the morning and said, fuck, I hope something catastrophic happens today so I can practice my resiliency. Like, no, like when shit happens, you're like, fuck, not again. Or I don't believe this is happening. And that's denial, right? How many times do we say, and talking to your audience here, how many times in your life you said, I don't believe this is happening?
I mean,
like fucking all the time, right? Doesn't matter what it is. So while you're saying that, whatever's happening is happening. So when you learn to understand how to manage fear, you actually understand how to manage time. Fear management is time management. And if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a human, that's huge. Because the longer you stay in the fear loop, the more you are experiencing, I call emotional inertia, like your body and mind's inability to move. You know, let's say you're in a dark funk. I go, dude, what's up? You go, man, this bad happened. I go, let's go work out. I'm not working out. Well, you're coming to work out. Let's go. Right? Like the story you told me about your buddy when he was in the hospital. You're coming. No, that's stupid. No, you're coming. But there's that resistance, you know. It's fascinating to me, and I'm still learning. Like, I'm still coming up with stuff now. I'm like, you know, I text my kids things, you know, and I'm giving them gold, the gem. Hey, it took me a long time to realize this. And I realized that people tried to tell me some of these universal truths when I was 20 or 30. And I'm like, dude, no, I don't have to warm up like you. I'm invincible, right? And that shit doesn't apply to me. And here I am, you know, in my 60s going, oh, here's a wise thought. I'll pass this on to my son. And he's going, thanks, Dad. I got this, right? It's fascinating.
Oh, I love it. Last thing I want to touch on with that, and it just kind of made me circle back. I'm sorry. You're Canadian. People who utilize I'm sorry, apologize for nothing. You're walking through the door, and someone's also walking through the door. They go, whoop, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you're just standing there. You're just going through a door.
Yeah. What do you say?
I say don't apologize.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think I do. I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And it might be also generational and what you're conditioned to. I
see it as such an insecurity to apologize for no fucking reason.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're, so this is interesting. Like if I apologize all the time, and I've never to my wife, but to other people I do, but I apologize all the time. Like if I bumped into you and I didn't know you, I go, oh, sorry, dude, I didn't see you. You know, but it's not like if you were psychoanalyzing me at the time, if I was apologizing because I thought you were going to beat me up, that's an insecurity.
Yeah.
If I was I'm just a polite guy. I still open doors and close doors and say thank you. When I used to work for my dad for a couple of years, it's my father's company. The name of the company was Blauer International. I'd still go like this and go, you know, excuse me, is it okay if I come in your office to talk? Yeah, sure.
But what I would talk about is you were like, if you were, excuse me, sorry to bother you.
Yeah. I almost think that that's like a colloquialism. It's like in my generation. I really think this is deeply psychological because I think I say it. I notice, like, I train my team and my company. We don't apologize in emails. We say thank you for your patience. Yeah. I don't say I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, because you're admitting you're wrong.
Yeah. So that can be a carryover. If I've seen people apologize and I see body language is 60% of communication, I see that trepidation and fear and insecurity when they're apologizing.
That's what I'm talking about. That
I don't. But you'll see as we get to know each other. I'll say sorry, bunch. Hey man, sorry I was late. But I mean it.
Yeah. I think it's more or less like when you don't really have anything to be sorry for. You know, a lot of times people just say sorry. Like I tell my son Max all the time, like you don't need to apologize for that. Yeah. You didn't even do anything wrong.
Right, and I agree with that. And there are a lot of people who, especially, do you get it a lot, or you just observe it? You get it a lot in like your audience. Do you? With the apologies.
Yeah.
So here's this just popped in my head is for some people you're the unicorn. for some people, they're like, fuck, if I could ever have like a tenth of what Justin's achieved, I'll be. So unconsciously they've subordinated themselves, and now they are insecure, and they think that apology, because I have a lot of
That's
people.
interesting too, because like I said, it happens so often that it's become something that's become a pet peeve of mine. It's irritating where it's like, dude, stop fucking apologizing.
So now I'm tracking more what you're saying, because I get that where, you know, like someone's, let's say, demoing a move, and they go,
maybe I didn't come out right.
No. I mean, you came in hard with it. I know what I hate, but it's interesting conversation, because now I'm remembering or you know, recalling so many people do that to me. But the sorry is, please don't be mad at me. And it has nothing. They'll demo a move, or they'll show me something. I'm sorry if you don't like this. I go, like, dude, like, you don't have to apologize. You're creating something. You wrote something. You know, you just, you know, showed me an elbow, and you're apologizing in advance. I wouldn't let you elbow me in the head, even with your shitty elbow. Let's fix it, right? You know, but I course correct that often in people who are apologizing because they're operating in the fear loop and they don't recognize it. And but I use it as an opportunity to say, you're operating in the fear loop, and that's influencing how you're speaking.
Right. I guess that was where I was kind of going with that, because it is.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It happens often.
Yeah.
And to where it's like, you know, it'll happen like as I'm walking through the door, and like somebody else is just walking to the door.
Right.
Whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, why?
It is that. And it's one of the neat things about, like, so there's 4 verticals in my company. There's our training division. There's our equipment division. There's the No Fear product, you know, the digital course. And then there's coaching with me. And if you told me you could only teach one course, and we've got gun, ground, knife, multiple assailant, scenario, this, all the, if you said you got all these cool courses, or you got the No Fear course, which is a lecture, we're sitting and we're talking, communicating, conversations, I would teach the No Fear, because I know lots of really highly trained people that hesitate or freeze in confrontations because their mind got the best of them. The mind navigates the body. You went for a run, you know, last week on the boardwalk, your quads didn't go, let's go. Like, it wasn't your feet going. You went, I don't want to run, but I need to run. Right. So it's amazing. That is the single most important thing. And it's, you know, part of my mission now is to somehow get this No Fear program into everyone's hands, because it can literally changes your life, the ability to manage fear.
Like I said, the three opportunities that I've had to, you know, do events with you and listen to you, and it's every time I take something new from it, and every time I retain it, and it's simple to the point. But like, even it's so funny, because when I do wear my No Fear shirt, I like I'll put it on and intentionally, because I told you I wear that shirt often during leg day.
Right.
And I don't know why.
So you want to throw me the shirt on the stool there? Let's show everyone there.
Yeah. It's like it is such a conscious thing with me when just the spelling KNOW.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, Freddie, get a good shot of this.
Yeah, I should have worn it.
And then the back is
yeah, of course. So everyone knows the No Fear, NO, right? But if you're standing there going, I don't fear any man, I don't feel, like, only scared people posture like that. No Fear is this idea of, like, how do I turn fear into fuel? How do I make friends with fear? How do I leverage fear? And the most important part of that, and I'll flip the shirt around in a second, is this idea that I need fear to get through life. And I don't have a choice when it comes. It's always unsolicited. You've never been in a situation going, man, I wish I had more adrenaline raging through my body right now. You know, you don't go, I wish I had more fear right now. And so the shift for me, like when I was a competitive skier, if I'm up on stage going, fuck, I'm so nervous, it's understanding, part of the system is understanding why you're afraid. And when you understand that, you just embrace the fear. It's because I fucking care. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's a neat reframe. This is the back of the shirt for my audience. Okay. But it's not me being an obnoxious American. It's the acronym for face it, understand it, control it, know it. And the most important letter there is the C. This idea of controlling your fear, managing fear, turning it into fuel. If you don't have it, like you're a unicorn, you don't feel it, or you've done something so many times where, there's certain things that you do in your business that somebody new who's like interning for the summer, they're fucking freaking out and sweating and making notes. And you're going, then we did this. I'm going too fast. No, sir, I'm sorry. No, don't say I'm sorry. I fucking hate that. Right? And you're right. And so, and they're going, holy shit. But you've done it so many times that you just own those systems now. But then that's inside your comfort zone. One of our graphics in our No Fear program is comfort zone, discomfort zone, holy shit zone. And what you want to do is, and I'm not one of those guys, the memes that go, do something that scares you every day. I fucking hate that. Why? Because I hate fear. Why would I want to do something that scares me every day? And so a lot of people do things that are, walk on fire, Tony Robbins, go skydiving, swim with sharks. Like, to me, like those are one-offs, but they're not life-changing. They're things you talk about. Look at this picture. But they're not things that change you. You know who Alan Watts is? He's a very famous American Zen philosopher.
Okay.
And I was turned on to him by Bruce Lee, who I didn't know, but Bruce Lee was a big fan of his. So one of my favorite Alan Watts quotes is, if you can't meditate in a boiler room, you just can't meditate. And boiler room being like a factory, right? Yeah. So the idea is like, hey, you want to go to a meditation retreat? You were both successful. Let's go to, this place in Arizona, or let's fly to Thailand, and it's, vegetarian food and there's no phones allowed. And that was so peaceful. And now you're in traffic and you're going, come on, man. Like, can you meditate when you're in traffic? Can you find calm in the chaos?
Well, Seneca talks about that too, and about, trying to control your environment to be creative, to meditate and things like that, or go on a retreat or do things like that. And it's the same concept. And actually, my son and I were reading that in the Daily Stoic a couple of days ago, and talking about an author who had a bunch of rich friends, and they were like, well, go to my ski chalet, get away for a little bit, right? And somehow the author still kept finding distraction, still kept finding, and until he actually went back to his own environment, even though it was probably more distracting, he was able to find his creative genius.
Right.
And so that really goes to that. Dude, this has been incredible. We could go for hours.
Yeah, I dig it. We'll do another one.
Guys, if you like what you saw, make sure you click subscribe. We're going to put all of Tony's information right below. And we really appreciate you tuning in. And dude,
so good again.
Absolutely. We're out.